last part of my list. And those were kind of the more important ones because I sort of, and for the guys on, I divided the list into two. So I had like the little things that could turn men off, like, when you're dating, things about a woman that a man might say, you know what, I'm moving on. And then I went to the more important things, the things that could actually end relationships and end marriages. So I had two lists and I kind of rushed through the last maybe five in the more important list. And I promised the ladies that I would expound on them in the next session. But ladies, I did even better than that because some of you all had questions. Unreasonably, and I understand your questions very much, because some of you were asking, well, what is considered nagging and what is considered controlling? Because to you, you are asking your husband to do something for you and he's not doing it. And so hence you'll ask again, or, and so you all wanted to know what exactly men consider nagging and controlling. And so I decided, why not bring some men on the call so that you could ask them questions yourselves, so that you could clarify these things with them for yourselves, right? I think that is a fair thing to do, because I myself, sometimes I'm telling my husband, I might tell him, he has this habit where he would rest his plate when he's finished eating on the counter on the side of the sink. He will not, even if the sink is empty, and I'm not kidding, he would not place it in the sink. And that really annoys me. And I'd say, Kevin, why can't you just put the plate in the sink? And he does have an explanation, but it is dumb. And he knows that. And so I would, you know what? I if I see it, I'll be like, I'll just shake my head and I'll put it in the sink. But sometimes I do point it out, right? But yeah, so you're like, what is nagging really, right? So the men are going to tell us, and even more, because you all had, there was one person who had a question. She asked if, in order to respect your husband, that, they should be respected, or they should earn your respect, basically. Like, respect shouldn't be something that's just given automatically, it has to be earned. And so all those things, the men are going to clarify. And ladies, these men are all married, and there are three of them. They will they'll turn on their cameras soon, so you'll see them. And they're all men of God, but they're also all very practical. So you're not going to be hearing super spiritual kind of talk that, you might say, well, gosh, let's get real. They can all be, they're all very, very real. Some of them may be too real, in my opinion, right? So with that said, this is what is going to happen. Guys, maybe you could take off your cameras just so the ladies could see you all for a little, introduction. So I could let them know who you are. So Kyle, we have Marlon, and we have Mark on the call with us. So maybe you all could put on your camera. Good night, Kyle. Good night, Marlon. I ain't seen Mark. Where Mark? Mark. So this is Kyle Joseph. Kyle Joseph is actually the assistant pastor at our church. So you're getting real wisdom. He's a married man. We have Marlon Chitawa, who is the youth pastor of our church. So, it's not just, I didn't just bring any kind of man here on this call. And then we have Mr. Mark Ned, who is here. I think he's trying. Oh, Mr. Ned, good night. Welcome. Hey. Really see you. Mr. Ned is not only a worship leader, he moves in the prophetic in our ministry. He's a minister, all kind of. So listen, so ladies, I got some men who are grounded and who are going to give you sound advice, to help you, all right? So guys, I know you're not too keen on showing your faces all the time, so you could, for now, you could take off or you can leave your camera on, it's fine. But if you'd want to, you could take it off until time for you to talk, right? Right. So ladies, yes, you're welcome. Ladies, hear what, right? This is no judgment, right? I said this last week. This is a woman call. And so our aim here is to help you, to share the wisdom of God with you, to help you, because many women sometimes are really oblivious to the things that men get turned off by. And so this is for you, for the single ladies. This is going to be very beneficial to you. So when you're meeting that special someone and you start going out with them, on dates with them, you have an idea up front of, okay, what men, what I could possibly be doing here that could be a turn off, and work on it. excuse me. And as I said last week too, it's not we don't want to change you. We're not saying we have to become another person to please a man, but you need to become self-aware, and there may be things and characteristics. You may have personality traits that you don't realize could come across, because men and women are different, right? And so we want to get their perspective today, right? So what I'm going to do, fellas, and for the ladies as well, I'm going to go through the list again, and then the guys are going to say what they agree with, what they don't agree with. Most of them, I'm sure they will agree with, but they're going to give you their 2 cents, because I'm sure they all have different things on their list, because everybody's different, right? So I'm starting with the little things. I'm just reading them through, right? Not going to go into any detail. So this is the little things first, and these things kind of more come up in the dating. And I mean, your wife could have these traits too, but if a guy meets a girl and he sees some of these things, he might tend to want to run and say, you know what, let me check the other one, right? So number one, and this is not in the order of importance, right? Number one, a woman who comes on too strong, too quick. Like you now start talking to the girl and she done start to talk about commitment. She texting you every day or calling you every day, wondering why you're not texting her back, and she's just coming on too strong in the earlies, like just too intense, too much, and too clingy, right? Number two, a woman who is loud, right? Somebody who's loud for just no reason. Number three, always late, right? Remember, these are the little things. These are not necessarily deal breakers, eh? These are not deal breakers. This doesn't mean you have to done with the person or whatever. This you can work on it, but men don't like it. Loud, always late. Every time you pull up by the house, you have to wait a half hour. Critical and complaining about everything when you all go out. The drama queen kind of thing. The sun too hot, the pavement too hard, the car seat too slippery. Everything is a complaint, right? The rain too wet, that kind of girl, right? Women who are rude to waiters and staff, who come across as condescending to people who serve them, who kind of have attitude for people who they consider maybe doing a job that may be beneath them, right? Women who, and this is for the Christian community, women who make it all about God, have the relationship too super spiritual. Like you can't even have some natural fun and just flow. Everything is about something spiritual, right? Women who wear too much makeup when it is overdone. Lashes, long nails, plenty makeup. Guys generally are turned off by that, right? And the fellas will correct me if I'm wrong, right, guys? I hope you're listening. Women who are overly sensitive and insecure. So where the guy feels he has to walk on eggshells around you and you don't know what he could say, and you might bust down crying or you'll get vexed, too insecure, too sensitive. An unkept woman. So this is somebody who has poor hygiene, who doesn't care about how she looks. She just put on clothes and go out the road. And this could kind of tie in with maybe being too spiritual as well, where you think that taking care of yourself is too carnal, and so you just can't be bothered. So perfume was that, fixed hair was that, you just doing your own thing. A woman who is self-centered. You're out on a date and all she doing is talking about herself, her issues, her problems. So self-centered that she would have an example here, like cancel a date because she have nothing to wear. It's like, date, what are you telling me? I have nothing to wear. That kind of thing where everything is me, everything had to be centered around them. A woman who cannot seem to get along with any of your friends or family. Like, she always have a problem with everybody. She have a problem with all your friends. She have a problem with your mother, your father, your brother, your sister. And a woman who is too independent. I'm not talking about everybody. I am a big supporter and believer of women becoming self-sufficient. I think before you get into a marriage, that you should, have your own little savings. You should have a job. You should be able to take care of yourself and not be totally dependent on a man. But the woman who comes across as, I don't need no man. Well, if you don't need no man, what are you doing here? Right? Men can't deal with that. The kind of independent, feminist kind of attitude, right? Those were the little stuff. And guys, I hope you all paid attention. Mark, Marlon, Kyle, you could add to to my little stuff list. That's based on my research, right? The little things. I'm sure there's more you could say when it's your turn. The more serious things now, and again, I'm just going to read it through, right? A woman who does not have any respect, who shows disrespect, somebody who is always, and even in public, right? They disrespectful sometimes, not even in what they might say, but how their body language, their facial expressions in public. You ask them a question and they kind of do their face in a way, or they walk off on you. So a lot of women trick you with this. They say, but I never say nothing disrespectful, but your whole body language was disrespectful. And people saw, to the point where somebody might say, well, I'm just so and so, right? Because your whole body language. Men hate being disrespected, women, especially in public, right? A woman who is controlling and nagging, right? A woman who has a sense of entitlement, somebody who does not know how to show gratitude, a woman who feels that everything that you're doing for me here as a husband, you should do. This is your duty, brother. You have to work hard and provide for me. And that woman tends to not be grateful. She wouldn't say thank you for things, when she sees you making an extra demand, making an extra effort, to provide, or you see the man killing out himself, coming home tired every day. And as far as you're concerned, well, that's you get married, so we expect you had a mind, man, right? Come on, ladies, right? Double standards. This is a woman who expects a certain thing from you. So tying in with the providing. She expects you to be a provider, but you can't ask nothing of her. So she know very well what is your role as a man, right? You're supposed to be making the money. You're supposed to be doing this. You had to fix the fence. You had to, right? You're a man. You had to lead the home. What you had to do, ladies? What exactly is your role? So men can't deal with that. When you're coming and you're throwing about roles in their face and you have no clue what's your role, or you have no intentions of doing anything in the marriage, right? Criticizing everything the man does. Don't walk so your foot too bend. Don't sit down so you sit down like a girl. Don't talk so. Don't drive so. Park. You don't know how to do it, right? Listen, no man, no human being likes that. Far less for a man to be being criticized and pulled up and corrected constantly by his wife as to how to live, basically, right? Undermining his authority. When the man, let's say he makes a decision in his home to do X, Y, Z, and the woman undermines his authority all the time because she thinks she doesn't see what he wants to establish as a rule or whatever in the home is not important to her, and therefore she treats it like nothing, like it's not important, and she disregards his opinions. She disregards things that he says he doesn't want. Let's say your husband says, I don't want to hear any movie in this home with cursing in it. Or I don't any no obscene language. I don't want to see no nudity. And you can be bothered because you, as far as you're concerned, that'll bother me. So what? So what if I see a naked woman in a movie? That'll bother me, right? But as your husband, he doesn't want it in his home, right? And you just you see that as a small thing and like, whatever to you, right? Ladies, you're on shaky ground if that's how you're moving, right? Withholding affection and intimacy. Excuse me. Withholding intimacy from him because you're mad, because he gets you vexed, because you're trying to make him suffer for something he did. No man on the earth likes that, right? Always needing reassurance in the marriage about his love for you. The man doing everything, but you because of your insecurities and because you have like a spirit of rejection and you grow up a certain way, always need an affirmation because maybe you never got love from your parents, or they never said to you they love you. You need constant reassurance. Now, ladies, your husband should reassure you that he loves you, but he could do that in many different ways. But some women make it like this obsessive thing where you have to reassure me every day. You have to say I love you. You have to hug me up. So basically, your way of getting that love, that feeling of love, he has to do that, or else you feeling unloved. And emotionally as well. And so he has to constantly be. It's almost like work to make you feel loved, right? It is work, actually. It could feel like work, right? I don't think I said this last week, or did I? Talking all your married people business to somebody outside of your home. Talking to a girlfriend. No, Karen, don't mistake me. Of course, everybody likes affection. I am talking about all right, let me give you a better example of the affection thing, right? I probably didn't say it properly. Your husband does show you affection. He does, not that he doesn't. But let's say he comes home one day and he's tired. He is maybe frustrated from the day. He just feeling, whatever, you're having a bad day. And you want affection and you want to be, you in a playful mood and he tired like hell, right? And so you trying to maybe be that kind of playful way from him and you want cuddles, whatever. And he's like, girl, I just want to sit down and probably just watch some TV. I need some food right now. When you equate that to not loving you, right? When you equate that, because he did that in that moment, you see, you don't love me. I'm just asking you for a hug. And so that is where it gets, right? And the man just saying, girl, how you could say I don't love you, I'm just tired, right? So you understand. So I'm not saying, of course, women need affection and men, but I'm saying some women, it's not, the affection is more, okay, it's to sort of like fill a void that they are feeling like, okay, I need this constant love. I need this constant emotional security. I need this constant physical affection to feel loved in this marriage and to feel like I'm worth something. That's a dangerous place to be because you could really and truly only get that feeling 24/7 from God. I don't think any man could provide that for you, right? So that's where it becomes dangerous. And then the last one, um, oh, giving them excessive advice. This could come across as nagging and controlling too. Always giving them advice. So sometimes men might share, talk to you, whatever. They don't necessarily want your advice and everything. And I give the example of me driving with my husband. I might say, well, why you park there? You could have parked, you have a parker right there. Why you went so far? Or, let's say he is making up the bed, which, yeah, if your husband making up your bed, wow, you're blessed. You're telling him how to make up the bed. No, don't do it like that. You have to stick it in the corner there. Don't know you're doing it wrong. Or you ask him to scrub the bathroom and you're doing it fair. Wow. But you're telling him how to scrub the bathroom and then when he's done, you're doing it over. It come across a little overbearing, right? And the last one, talking your personal business with your friends, worse yet your family. There's no man that likes to know that his personal business out there in the public, right? And so that's my two lists, the little things and the big things. And so I would like now for the gentlemen, now ladies, they're going to give you their 2 or 3 cents, whatever the case may be. And then we want you to be able to ask them questions or me questions, but them specifically, because I want you all, I'm sure some of you all are like, well, I don't want to know I'm doing this unintentionally. I want to know that, I don't want to be nagging my husband, and I don't even realize it, or I don't want to come across as disrespectful and I'm not intending to be disrespectful. So we want to hear from them, maybe what is considered disrespectful to them. If you walk off on them and you shrug your shoulders, is that disrespectful? And you turn your back before they finish talking, that kind of thing, right, ladies? So we want to know, right? So Marlon, Mark, Kyle, you all could, I guess we could start with Marlon. On my phone, it's in that order. So maybe Marlon, you could add to my list. I'm sure you have things there that I didn't mention, or you could expound on something that I said, or share your 2 cents with us, Marlon. And you can give them a little introduction to who is Marlon Jitoa.
Right. My name is Marlon Jitoa. I was born in 1986, lived in Canada for 14 years, but live in Boonton. Yeah, right. So, yeah, I said last week. All right, I am Marlon Jitoa, husband of Lifa Jitoa. I think she's on the call as well. And yeah, I'm just here to give some of my sense to these amazing women who want to be amazing women. Yeah, who want to be more consistent. Yeah, and want to get a guy's opinion on these things. I'm just willing to give my 2 cents. Y'all take it however y'all want there. Yeah.
They say, I see one say don't hold back, so you go ahead.
Right. Somehow my light giving a little trouble here. But right. So what is the question? You have a question for me, Nix?
No. Based on I hope you were listening. Based on my list that I called there, I want to know if you have to add anything to it, or if you would like to expound on any one of them, or if you have something that I didn't mention, like your personal thing that you really takes your, or things. You go ahead and share that now.
Okay, well, while I was listening to the list of things that you were putting out, Nick, I was just like, yo, I find myself a real good woman, boy. Because Nick, Lifa,
no. Lifa, I want hear me, man. I don't want you to forget Lifa, though. I'll be talking about women in general. But you go ahead, big up your wife. Big up your wife. Go ahead and big up.
Please, listen, forget Lifa, boy. I'll go
but
forget
you
my
know
wife.
what I mean, right? You get through, but I mean, you live a life before Lifa, and I'm sure you have things in your mind that, yeah.
Okay, right. So, well, I have a short list here. Just somebody who's always complaining about things. And there's not the complaining is the problem, because you have something that you don't like and you want the other person to know, hey, I don't like this. But you see, when it's consistent, boy, and it's like it's like you get complaining more than compliments, kind of thing.
Okay, right, yes.
Yeah. I would like to know the good things that I do too. And if you're complaining more than you're complimenting, that go throw me off a little bit there. I have a bad attitude. Well, we know how bad attitudes work with, dealing with friends and there's like real bad gossip and bad short temper and that kind of thing. Those kind of let me see what else I say bad attitude with, but I didn't write down the details here. But just
bad attitude.
Huh?
I think they get it just though. Just a general bad attitude. No self-control. No self-control.
Right. So there's not I'm specific with this. I want to say not taking care of your feet, boy.
What?
Well, I feel like I could tell a woman by how she takes care of her feet, Nicks. That's just my opinion.
What? Ladies, you're hearing it? You're hearing it?
That's my opinion. I'm just one guy, right? I said somebody who's loud and just it's okay for you to laugh and have a loud, once in a while thing, but if we go in the cinema, or we in the library, or we in the bank, and you had to be talking, I had to be talking. If I had to be telling you to talk soft, that one would throw more a lot there. And self. Everything is just me. You said that, that could throw more. And you see, this was my deal breaker. This is my main only thing that I feel like I could cut off talking to you one time. You see a woman had pridefulness, and you can't talk to that woman because she have so much experience and she been through this and she you can't correct and you can't teach and you can't, I feel like I'm gonna break even one time and I was just saying, I can't move forward.
Yeah. So Marlon, as with that last point, right? So you see it as part of your responsibility as a man to teach and correct a woman.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And so ladies, I mean, I know women have this thing, and we spoke about submission a little bit in the session before the last one. And women had a lot of questions about submission as well. And I don't think that when women enter into a marriage, they do not consider the aspect of you being under the authority of this man, and that him having that authority over you, he could teach and he could correct, he could instruct, he could decide a particular direction he wants his home and family to go in. Not all on his own, obviously, with you, but as the head, he could say, you know what, as I was talking about this undermining authority, you know, the man could say, I want us, anything, I want us to eat no meat for 2 days in a week. Now, I'm not saying he forcing you. I want us to eat no meat 2 days in a week. I want us to be healthy and I want us to eat vegetables because I want my family to go in this particular way in terms of health. And you, in front of your children, you are disregarding your husband's advice, or, you know, you're like, why the children like chicken? We want to, you know, ladies, that's a no-no. You would say that, Marlon. That's kind of, if in front of you have a child with you all, if Lifa were to undermine your authority in front of him, that is very disrespectful. Correct?
Facts. Yeah,
Yes.
but I still want to squeeze in, as you already did it, but I want to say too, is that you have an opinion. You can't share your, but you should be okay with, because you don't know who you're marrying to and who you're in a relationship with, right? You have to know that this man is not going to lead my life into destruction. Right. So if you disregard my opinion, then I can trust him. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I got you. Mark, Carol, you want to take off your put on your cameras and share your 2 cents. Let me hear you, Mark. What do you have on your list? Marlon shocked me with the toes. Yeah. Right? Marlon shocked me with the toes there. He say there's you can leave your camera on if you want, Marlon. You don't have to. Marlon say, yeah, he judging you by your toes. So yeah. Let me hear you, Mark.
Well,
you can introduce yourself as well.
Well, you bear with me not 100%. I'll learn under the weather, but my name is Mark Ned. I've been married for 3 years. I've known my wife. Well, me and my wife have been together for 7 years, and we married for 3 years, right? Basically, I never really had much of a relationship other than with my wife, you know. So she's the major. I had like a girlfriend and them kind of thing before, but we never went out. You know, it was like a month, it was like a half an hour, that kind of thing it went before, right? So, but what I would say that I've discovered in marriage, a big part of it is joining. The Bible, you know, Jesus say, let what God has joined together, let no man put aside, right? And I just reading this verse real quick, you know, Ephesians, it says, he who loves his own wife loves himself, for no one has ever hated his own body, right? So I would say a major part of marriage is learning how to be one with each other and identifying the things that tend to bring issues and discord within the marriage, right? Some of the things I had on my list, well, Onika touched on a good bit. One of the major ones I would say is a woman that's very critical and almost, well, I say like a principal. What a man likes, at least for me, he likes peace. There's a lot of pressure and issues in the world out there, you know, and when a man comes home, the first thing he don't want to hear is, oh God, thing, and you're nagging him and you're quarreling with him and thing. You know, it would be nice when the man come home that, you know, you welcome him, you hug him, you know, you feel that kind of love from you. Because to me, when a man come home and you start with the quarreling thing and he had to defend himself now, it's hard to go from quarreling you to kissing you. It's a very, it kind of sets the tone for the evening, or you know, that kind of thing. So it's about using wisdom in that aspect because it will affect how the man view it too.
Yeah, correct.
Also, correct. He's very critical, a man. He might tell you, well, I want to do this, I want to do that, and you're very critical of me. He feel like he's not free to express himself without you kind of coming down on him. One thing I realized in marriage that is very important is intimacy. And that is something that I learned from God. We have an aspect in Christ that we can reveal our nakedness, and Jesus revealed his nakedness to us on the cross, and that bring reconciliation. He despised not the shame, right? Jesus didn't mind embarrassing himself, knowing that it would bring us closer to him. And I would say as a husband, wife, you should have an element where I could come to you with anything, even my failures, and I'm not going to feel like you as well going to condemn me. But I can bring to you and we could work it out together. And what I would say a big part of marriage, especially as a woman, God have given you a very great influence in a man's life. You are, you know, the verse I was not reading it very, I don't want to go on to it, it's very powerful, you know, because a man who loves his wife, love himself. I'm not totally related to my mother, you know. I carry about half of her DNA. My father as well, my children too. But your wife is literally the closest person to you in this. And what I would say, the reason why the Bible says a marriage is a covenant, not just with a man and a woman, but with God too, is what makes it difference in our marriage is we can't give what we do have. And many of the things we need to keep that marriage joined together and to keep it moving forward, it comes from Christ. And he's the one that shows us what it is like to forgive. He's the one that shows us what it's like to be long-suffering, to be patient. And when you look at the relationship we have with Christ, we call the bride of Christ. That's our element of the relationship we have when we give our life to Christ. We are his bride. So really your relationship with God kind of is like a training. But when you do come into marriage, and a lot of the key things that you need within marriage, you'll find if you have it in Christ will make the difference. But I'm closing now. I feel like I'm preaching, right?
Yeah, saying some good stuff. I mean, the ladies need to hear that. And I mean, that was real practical advice you gave. Women want affection, but when a man come home and he's met with, even if it's not quarrels, but he come home and it's like, you know, we didn't pay this bill, or, you know, we had to go and see about this in the license office. So we had, and it's like, you now come from work and again, pile up. It seemed like more work, like you come home to more work. It's hard now for the man to look at, you know, for the affectionate part of him to come out, because he's more in a gear, like Mark says, a principal. You're feeling like you're in school and again, you know, the principal telling you what you didn't do or what to do. And so that's a really good thing for ladies to take note of. So you go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so I would say as a wife, you need to, even before you get married, one of the major things I would say is know the individual you're getting married to, know their weaknesses, know their strengths, and you can't change somebody, you know, you can't change somebody. If you know a man have certain shortcomings and stuff like that, and you get married to him, you know, nagging him and coming down on him actually could push the man further. So there's an element to marriage sometimes where you understand this person have weaknesses and you learn to love them, and it have certain things, I'll be honest. I'm not saying it's right on the man part, but there are some things that just might never change, might just always be an issue. And you're gonna have to decide, can I live with this? Or would I rather not live with this issue and not have this person? So there's gonna be a practical side to things. If you know the man was never a saver, different things. These are things you have to pay attention to and try to put things in place, you know, before you get married. I would also say for a man, what is important is words of affirmation. I would say acknowledging when he does do good things, things that was a blessing to the family, and encourage him in that aspect. And a lot of it Onika touched on. So but I would say a big thing too is respect. Men value that a lot, knowing that their wife respects them and doesn't disrespect them. I don't think any man have an issue with a woman correcting him, because I would say from being married personally, I have a lot of flaws. And what a wife brings is a different perspective. A husband brings a different perspective. And that is good. But you see, if I don't believe you love me, or it's coming from a place of love, it's going to be hard to receive your correction. So what is good, I'm not saying don't correct, but it's good to also let the man know that you love him and do it in a respectful way. And I think it will be a better receive. So I'll just stop there.
Gotcha. Thank you, Mark. What you said there was some powerful stuff. The ladies have some questions, but we'll come to after everybody say their piece, right? We'll open it up. You all could unmute your mics and ask questions, right? Mr. Kyle Joseph, introduce yourself to the ladies and Let's hear.
Good day. My name is Kyle Joseph. I've been married for a year and something now. I've been with my wife over 3 years. I know her, sorry, over 4 years. You know, she hearing this, I'm sorry. Um, and I've been with her for some time before that, right? Obviously I had relationships before her. And before I came to the Lord, interestingly enough, right? And it's like a whole new experience when you meet somebody in the Lord. But maybe I would just maybe shoot off with maybe giving some of the things I was thinking of is some of the same things everybody say, right? Because I don't think men complicated when it comes to a lot of things in life. You'd hear if you make a line up women with men and I ask them what is they do like, most men would say the same thing. I'm not too sure most men would say toes, or their feet,
The man clarifying that. He says not
I
toes,
just
he says
joking.
feet. He says feet,
Yeah, I just
like
joking.
wow, like big difference.
And also, I just would like to help on my brothers online. So that's I don't know if you're listening. The men are saying they are leaving comments online and they would like to, they just want to give the little feedback online. So they message me
Well,
privately.
this is not the time for it though, Kyle. We will
I
when
know,
you
I
finish.
just telling her.
Yeah,
Yeah, just telling her, that if it is, because right now they're online, getting on, like,
Yeah,
something.
I see it. It's on YouTube.
Anyhow, yeah. So I'll give my list, right? I would say one of them is disrespectful. I would say, women who say if I rude are rude, they just walk around like that, you can't talk to them. They kind of real disrespectful. I'd say one who's judgmental. I call them misassumption. They always jump to assumption. I call them
assumption.
misassumption. Who are, you're making, either you're critiquing, you're making a statement, even doing something, and it reaches some assumption about something that I may be saying, and is just pop a brick wall sometimes because it's not the area you're trying to communicate at the moment in time, right? And then I put one as controlling. I say, I'm not your mama. No, sorry, you are not my mama. Sorry, you know what I mean? Or like somebody who try to treat you like I am all of a sudden the child and they forget I'm their husband. I'm not somebody who, you can control and manipulate to get what it
Right.
is you want done. You know what I mean? I say
Right.
somebody who is selfish and lack understanding, somebody who is all about me. Even just in communicating, you're trying to bring across a point and somehow sometimes you leave a conversation that even being heard. I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from, and I think you hear most men, they would say that, they are, in this society, they hear women always right. Sometimes that is where it's come down to, you giving your point of view, a woman giving her point of view, and then sometimes it's always boil down to, all right, well, cool, you know what I mean? All right, you win, or something like that, right? I see somebody who's
Yeah.
obsessive. I say, I need to have a life. What I mean by somebody who, you notice something men have in common. I don't know if it's something maybe women lack in themselves or something. I'm not saying all women, right? But I'm saying men would go online with fellas and they be cool and they come back home and they ready to go again. Sometimes women are generally see from even since a young growing up, women tend to make a man their whole life and they don't
Right.
really have friends outside of their relationship. So when a man is maybe doing something outside of their relationship, as in they have friends they like, and sometimes they take it like personal and always calling him man, always, you know what I mean? And it's because to themselves, they don't even know what it is to have a relationship. And I think that's something unhealthy. I think God didn't
Yeah.
design us to be that way. God designed us to at least be in a community somehow, like to
Yeah.
be interactive with people. And I'm not saying to go and be everybody's friend, but you understand the point I'm trying to make, right?
Yeah.
And then I say somebody who's not forgiving, a bad mind person. Somebody who you're having a conversation with them and they just in the end of everything, or they just waiting for opportune time to just stab you with something, look, you see, and
Yeah.
I tell you, and they just waiting to just stab you, and they just always have this in their mind. They can never forgive you of something, and
Yeah.
it's come out. That's something I think most men wouldn't like, that maybe because it's how maybe sometimes we communicate to, at least for me personally, right? I've noticed communicating with my wife when I finish talk about something I done. I been honest with you all. I done talk about the topic. I say, well, I mean, if I feel that point, I let my side, I mean, I'm not saying that the other person done talk, right? But
Right.
I personally feel like, and then afterwards we move on from it. One of the worst things they could ever do, I just keep bringing up and it can't move
Over
on
and
from the
over.
situation.
Yeah.
You catch where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like you're saying, let's talk about it again. It just straight it in your face, kind of like, for somebody who
Correct.
unforgiving, I would say, in that kind
Yeah.
of way, right? Because I think it requires forgiveness to really have a relationship, any type of relationship, because everybody is
Right.
messed up in life, right? And
Yeah.
then I say, I'll pick them out. Somebody who always talking the business, whether it be with family, some of you and your wife follow, they're talking to their family about what is happening on their marriage. And you can't even, you go enter in a room and it's like everybody know who's you on a bad side. They don't even really know anything. You understand where I'm coming from, right? They
Yes.
they talking all the business to somebody else. I generally men don't like that at all, right? And then I
Yeah.
say a Siamese twin, somebody who's not submissive, somebody who wants to be the head with you too, and they can't, you know what I mean? Yeah, and I call them a Siamese twin. That's just my thought. So I think that is it for me to the point that I Onika, because I think most women hear all of this already. So
Yeah.
this is maybe a communication point they want to have here, where it is they maybe want to have what is really
Correct.
controlling, what is
Correct.
really, and I think
Yeah.
that is where
Examples.
I
I
think
saw
we could.
somebody ask for
Mhm.
examples of what is controlling, examples of what is nagging. And I tried to give them examples last week, but you all are men and you all know how you feel and you all know what makes you feel. Let me ask you, Kyle, all of those
Sure.
things you said were kind of more on the major side. What about the little things? A couple little things. Like how Marlon said, feet, right? So
Mhm.
let's say you weren't married and you were looking for a girlfriend. What would turn you off? Like if you see initially in a woman, what would turn you off?
Initially, we talking about from first attraction. I think the number one
Yeah,
thing I
like when
think
you're
you
young,
can,
getting to know somebody, you're not married again to
number
know
one
somebody. What are the little things that turn you off that would say, nah, I ain't even bothering with this.
number one thing I'll be honest is that disrespectful person. I be honest with you, like in my relationship, I don't know if my wife see that. I don't really need much in the context of something happens, so I don't really need somebody to give me words of affirmation and different things like that. Just stop always pulling me down, or stop finding all the negative. But if somebody genuinely just do, if I'm on a mission, I doing something and somebody generally not there affirming me, if you want to call it that, I don't
Right.
necessarily feel how I interpret love a little different if you're coming from somebody who understands how people going through different things in life. So generally in a relationship, if you're somebody who's disrespectful, I can't take it like somebody who like I say, rude to waiters, doing different things. Because if you're rude to somebody on the outside, like natural like that, as we get closer, I don't see it working in the marriage practically for me. It's something annoying. And one thing always used to annoy me too is somebody who always wants to teach you how to do something in the context of, you're doing something and they ask you to do something, but it's over your head. Like if you're not blink,
Right. Right.
no, do it this way, do it this way, do it this way. Sometimes I just stop because I grew up in my whole life, but that was maybe experience with my mom,
Your
because she was
mom,
like
yeah.
a
Yeah.
perfectionist, right? So
Yes.
in the house, I mop out the house, she will come and quarrel and it's not good enough to her
It's
standard.
not good
You
enough.
get what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that was something for me that always be a real turn off to me personally. Like if it is I interact with her and I find it again on like that kind of way, it would have
Yeah.
throw me off personally in that kind of way. And then obviously the
What
common
about
things I get from men,
what
which
about
is
makeup,
somebody,
Kyle? You okay with a woman who wears a lot of makeup?
nah, not that is something I'm not talking about. Nah, not okay with somebody who ain't a lot of makeup. But to be honest, if I end up in a relationship with somebody like that, I see other qualities. They catch where I'm coming from now. I ain't gonna make it like, but I don't really like a woman who's having makeup all the time. And especially if it is, I don't recognize it. You know what I mean? I like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I like,
Yeah.
we meet and I to look in behind and after you go and I realize, whoa, it's a whole different person. So
Right.
generally, I look for the neck. Sometimes this can make or generally, I look for the neckline. I try my best to see where the
The
makeup
real
departing.
complexion. To see the real complexion. Yeah,
To
yeah, I
see
hear
where the
you.
departing from, I can see, Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah.
So nice. So let's maybe at this point, I saw some questions in the comments, and I'm sure they have some comments perhaps on the YouTube side.
Yes.
And really, this is your opportunity. Well, after, so let's go through the comments. So unmute your mic and you can ask these guys your questions specifically, or you can even ask them for advice. You can even ask them a question like, okay, how do I come across then if I do want something done and it's really important to me? Because I live in it too, right? I want something done. It's really important to me. How do I bring that across to my husband without coming across as though I'm nagging and controlling? I want to hear the guys answer that question, right? But not now. So Celeste, you go ahead and probably
Okay.
read some
So
questions.
I'll read some of the comments on YouTube that the men are making, and then I will go to the more productive comments on Zoom. So hear what the men are saying. Perfume nothing. Oh gosh, the disrespectful woman. double standards, say that twice. This is why they weren't invited, right? What kind of
Right.
fellas she's with us? Giving them advice and they always reject it. Let me see. Go Marlon.
Perfume
Go Marlon,
person.
go
I have a
Marlon.
question too. The perfume person don't like perfume or they like perfume?
I think he was
Maybe they,
saying
when
that
I was
women
talking
say
about,
that. Perfume
oh,
not say.
hygiene. Probably, yeah.
Somebody said the feet thing is his personal thing. So a few people was inside and somebody said give Mark a mic and a Tylenol. Let's see. Somebody said speak like there's a tomorrow, bro. Like somebody said woman who believe they got a pet dog to control. Forget that.
They what?
They get a pet dog to
Have a pet
control.
dog.
Oh, like the man is their pet. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Pretty face and bad character. Somebody said I say men don't like a clingy woman. Let's see. Too much makeup. Bro, let's support makeup. Don't be a man mother. Yeah, so So we
Okay.
had a lot of I will send over the YouTube link, Christ child. We had a lot of questions in the chat here from the
Right.
lady
Mhm.
for asking for specifications. So I'm just going to scroll and
I forget one of the things, right? That one of the things was somebody too hot to trust. Somebody who can't dress properly is be annoying to men.
like immodest.
Very modest, you know. I think most
Honest?
men are
Oh,
together.
right. Or somebody who could have always out of time and the way they dress.
Well, you can't tell them nothing, and they never seen your point of view or something. It'd be annoying to most men, you know.
Okay. So Chelsea
Especially
asked a
men.
question, you would answer it. Is it Chelsea or sorry, somebody asked a question, you'll answer it after. So Sally, you go
Okay.
ahead with the woman's
Yeah.
questions.
Just now, just 1 second. Well, okay, so Chelsea said, so you could change your name, sorry, because we streaming live, but yeah, somebody said, so if he has a hard day every day, when is a good time to bring it up? Because I think someone was talking about, I think it was Mark talking about wanting peace and all that.
But that's not practical though. That person, if that person husband claiming to have a hard day every day and have no time for affection and no time for, if there's no right times, I think that's off. Because that's not practical. You must have one, you know what I mean? So that's an extreme situation, I think. But to answer the question though, which is Celeste, when is a good time? So he busy 5 days a week. He tired 5 days a week when he comes through the door. Mark, how would you suggest to this young lady that they approach these things? Because it has to be addressed. Bills had to pay, light bulb had to change. How the woman doing this?
Okay, well, I would say, know your husband. You could know a lot, but sometimes by somebody countenance. So just asking a question, how was your day? But I would say let the man eat. Let him drink some kind of refreshing coconut water or something. You're married, so you could massage him. It's a different thing you could do that, but put the man in a more relaxed state of mind and say, by the way, this is what is going on.
I hear you. So you don't just rush the man as he walk through the door. You say, honey, bring the plates of food, the coconut water, massage his shoulders. And while you're there massaging, you could say, by the way, and nice. So ladies, that's practical enough for you all. I mean, can't get better than that, right? To me, that's a practical way of doing it, right?
A good way. As a chum.
Sally, next question.
Okay, what does respect look like for a man? A few examples, because I know disrespecting is big. We have a good one after this. You could go ahead, Kyle.
What respect
Hey.
looks like to a man. Marlon, you could jump in
Like
too.
examples. Because it's such a big thing.
I think I think talking on to somebody first is a good sign of disrespect. No, that don't necessarily. Some people they say shouting. It just can be the way you speak to somebody could be come across very disrespectful. I don't have to always be to shouting. You know, sometimes people equate shouting all the time to something, right? But and I'm talking about obviously when two people communicating in their privacy or whatever they're talking about, right? I think public disrespect is sometimes maybe real different to like personal disrespect. And a woman, you talk to her, you say something and she just watch you in your face and it's come across very disrespectful and men don't really like that kind of, you know what I mean? I'm talking, you're a human and you're talking to you. And so I think sometimes that is one way in the public space that men can deal with that kind of disrespectful thing like that because there are many obviously different forms of disrespect, right? Like just a simple thing like talking to our next man a certain way can come across disrespectful to a man in a certain way, right? Or you may be coming across a little flirtatious, you breathe in a certain way. It could come across like a disrespect to a man in that kind of way. But I think when it is generally, you're treating him of like no value. Like you
Right.
think that there's somebody you don't value any of his opinions, you don't value any kind of thing like that. You imagine I tell you something and immediately you just switch that wrong about something totally different. You actually you're actually bringing on what I trying to say as not valuable at all in the entire conversation, and it's come across very disrespectful. So sometimes men might say, "I'm feeling disrespecting me right now," and it's just a simple way of you're not valuing anything I'm trying to say here right now in that moment in time, and I think that is one of the biggest ways women tend to maybe disrespect men. I would say in that kind of way. I don't know if
Okay.
Marlon or anybody want to add anything.
Marlon, what you say? Like, what's a practical way that you feel disrespected so the woman would understand?
I think about that one, Malifa.
While you're thinking, Kyle said something there that I never considered so much, right? He said to a man, it could even come across disrespectful how you relate to another man. So let's say you're relating to your husband there and you're relating to a man maybe in a flirtatious way or it coming across like you're too close with the person or maybe your body language, a man will take that as disrespect. So that's a good thing to note. Marlon, you had time to think.
Yeah, what I was thinking is because I could be wrong here, right? But normally when somebody disrespecting somebody, there's a conscious thing in Onyx. That is not no, but I guess it could happen by mistake. Like, nah, I feel like there are very few. Okay, so I was talking to a lady in a ride today, right? In a car, a passenger, right? And I was like, you know, what are some things women do when it comes to nagging and disrespect and that kind of thing? How, you know? And she was saying, when she's going into something with her husband in any kind of way, she internalizes what she's going to do before she does it. So she's challenging it if it's going to be disrespectful. She's challenging if it's going to be out of timing. If now is the best time to do it, how has he reacted in the past when I did this thing? You know, so that's why I say I feel like like to disrespect somebody could be something you're consciously doing. You know, and so it's very just to sit with yourself.
I disagree with that because of my own
Some people just
experience.
have a disrespectful attitude from how they're brought up and different things. And sometimes to them, they're trying to figure out the best. That's how they communicate. You know what I mean?
Correct. So it could be your way of that's how you communicate. So listen, the amount of times I heard in my early marriage, the amount of times I heard Kerwin say, "Why are you talking to me like that?" But to me, I talking to him normal, right? And he'd be like, "Why are you talking to me like that?" And I'd be like, "How am I talking to you?" Marlon, I'm not being pretentious. I literally thinking this is a proper way to communicate. And then he would say, "Well, you're being disrespectful." And I used to say, "But no, I'm not being disrespectful." And then he would hear what he would always do. He used to do it all the time. He would say, "Would you speak to your father like this?" And I would just hush my mouth. Because I know I can't talk to my father, so right?
So there is my next point, literally my next point. If you don't know what things you do that would sound or come off as disrespectful, the guy will tell you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And apply that across the board now. Like, just like how you say you was talking to him disrespect. I feel like you can apply that across the board. I try not
Understand. So I
disrespect.
understand what you're saying. So, okay, so like in my situation I use, that was in my early marriage, and he would tell me that all the time. So after a while, I started to learn what disrespect looked like to him. And so I had to make adjustments, even though I was saying, this is me and this is my way of communicating. I'm not being disrespectful. He felt disrespected. And so I had to respect that. And so even though in my mind, I saying I'm not being disrespectful, I still had to adjust the way I spoke to him when I got angry, because I didn't want him to continue thinking that I'm being disrespectful to him. And so I had to adjust the way I communicate with him. And so if the man is telling you over and over and over and you're not making adjustments, you don't respect him. And then you're right, you're being intentional, because you're not making any change. You just, you don't care. As Kyle say, or you don't value him.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think I see Onika, I think it's Cheyenne is her name. She say, so is that you are saying to speak to your husband like you speak to your dad. I think
No.
that missing the point of value. I think that's important to understand, right? What I mean by that is this, right? I think both people had to learn to respect each other in the first place, right? Because men can be disrespectful to their wife the same way, right? You shut them mouth, move it, and they can be disrespectful in the same way, right? But today
Right.
is not about men. That's important to understand, right? Yeah. But on the other side of things, like I find it interesting in marriages generally, right? A woman can be respectful to her boss. It means she knows not to talk to her boss that way. She like
It's
so
find
let's say
control. She
huh?
could find control. She could find control when she needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she vice versa with her father, with anybody. Well, many times people who have that sense of authority over her or in that kind of way, right? But sometimes for their husband, it is be a very hard thing to do because somehow women they lost their value, and in doing that, they devalue somebody and they turn into a walking mat. And hence the reason it'll be very hard for women and men to communicate at times. Because if it is like an example, I point out that sometimes people find that hard to access. They will never admit that, well, that is the truth. Well, you know what I mean? And they will never say, well, I wouldn't talk to my boss that way. And they will, because deep down is a thing that people might understand, but the Bible tells us, so regardless if you want to say men is the head, right? The Bible tells us you should esteem each other higher than each other, right?
Yeah.
So a part of love is that you shouldn't, when you really love somebody, we as humans tend to do the opposite. We tend to say, well, I just being myself and I just being a certain way, and I think the closest people to you is the people who you can end up treating with your bad
Showing
your
you
bad
bad.
ways. You
Correct.
know what I mean? And truly, that is the people you really need to seek.
Show the
Like,
most
whenever a
bad.
woman had a problem, you need to ask your husband to help you and really listen to. Because if it's one person as a woman, you should never want to disrespect. Is first and foremost, maybe it's really your husband. If you're married, it's really your husband because it will bring forth fruit in your life in many different areas. And so I think it's important for women to understand that you know, just look at yourself and be honest and say, I wouldn't talk to my husband now. Sorry, I wouldn't talk to my boss that way because he paid me. So you see the
Correct.
value, I'll get fired.
Correct.
And you just somehow feel, well, I can talk to my husband now because he know me. No, I know you, and that's why I'm trying to tell you, stop talking to me so.
Those were
You
the
get to come and
exact words, Kyle. Exact words I used to tell Karen. I was just say, but you know me. You know
yeah.
me. You know this me. I used to say that all the time. And, in the 80s, and he'd be like, no, but as a man, it doesn't matter. And then to answer, Cheyenne said, I don't talk to Karen like he's my father. But he used to use that example because I used to tell him too, well, we having a back and forth, it's an argument, it's a disagreement. You can't expect me to, I change. My tone will be different or whatever. And he would say, yeah, he used to say you disagree with your father a lot, but I've never seen or heard you speak to him like that, which means if you have to exercise control, you have it, you can, because I've seen you do. And so why you can't exercise control, when speaking to me? Mark, like you want to say something.
Oh, I was just gonna say real quickly, well, my wife not here right now, and I've had a lot of things, right? I think I'm guilty of it. Sometimes we take each other for granted. And when you think about a husband, a wife, they literally committed their life to you, every paycheck, all their finances is committed to you guys and your future and your goals. They're committed to raising your children. They're committed to being there for you in your good times, in your bad times. Your
Correct.
success is linked to their success, and that husband accountable to God. You know, and
Yes.
when you think about what a husband is doing, he's rejecting every other woman and choosing you and being faithful. He's making a choice to be faithful to you, literally laying down his life. And sometimes you could take it for granted in the everyday life, but it's something to be honored and it's something to be respected. And a husband is not a normal person in your life. It's somebody very special. And I would say just being mindful and not taking each other for granted would help, I think, in the way that you relate to each other. You wouldn't want the person that is fighting for you and laying down their life for you to feel disrespected or to bring that person down. But you want that person to succeed and you want them to feel appreciated and feel that really what they're doing is not in vain.
Yeah. Great point, Ma. Thanks for that. Celeste, some more comments. You said there was one after this one you addressed.
Yeah, this is directed to Mark. So someone said, Mark, how would you treat with family who don't respect your wife?
Okay. Well, a paradigm shift in a sense that I had to make when I got married is that my wife is now my immediate family. The Bible says a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, right? So in the grand scheme of things and in God's eyes, she's a higher priority than in terms of your family. I'm not saying that your family now is not important, but if you believe that this is your God gave you the confirmation that this is your wife, this is somebody special to you, this is somebody that's going to fulfill God's destiny. If your family is being harsh towards your wife, I think probably not with her wrong, but you could respectfully tell them that they need to respect your decision. And I think as well, you should not endorse what the family is saying, especially if your wife knows about it or if it happened in her presence. I think you should defend her because I think that could hurt a woman to know that your family is being disrespectful and you as well agree with it. That is something that should not be tolerated, even if they disagree. I think there's a way that it should be handled. And I think as well that your family is your family, but basically your allegiance now is really towards your wife. And is a way you should handle it, especially if the family is in the wrong. Because if the family may have a valid point or issue with your wife, but it doesn't mean that gives them the right to disrespect her. I think there's a way that things should be done.
If I could add to that as well, Mark, and to the person who asked the question, if after you spoke to your family and you asked them to, stop the disrespect and to be respectful to her, at least in her presence, you can't control what they say behind her back, right? But at least in her presence, to me, and they still continue, I think you have to set a boundary and tell your family, here what, I will no longer be coming to visit you, right? If what I'm going to be met with is disrespect to my wife. Say, I love all you, but you all not adhering to my request to respect my wife. And so, we as a family, we can't come and look fair. And if your family really love and respect you, they respect your boundaries, even if it means being quiet. You know what I mean? Say, you know what? I don't want to lose my son. I want Mark to come home. So let me behave myself. You understand? But if you don't set a boundary, they could continue to take you for granted,
Yeah. And I think it could diminish your wife's confidence in you as well. It could cause issues if you don't address that as a man.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Next question, Celeste.
Okay, so I'm going to read some comments from YouTube, and then the next few questions is going towards a different topic. So, somebody said, so these are the men on YouTube commenting, right? The things that bother them. So, woman who does cry and can't say why. Woman who dress promiscuous. Somebody said respect is viewed as love to men. Silent treatment of a woman. That is real awful. Honor is important, not doing her toes. Silent treatment is disrespectful. Gangster, no gangster. woman raw, um,
think I know who.
multi-symptom,
Oh,
super
good.
farm. What is this? Pack of four. I think that's for Mark. When you share your marital problems with your family, you forgive your wife, but your family does not. That's from somebody else.
Right.
So
That's
the
sharing your business with family. Yeah. Correct.
yeah. So the next couple questions is about like clothes and makeup and stuff.
Right.
So the first one is what is dressing properly? Because they said it's defined different for different men. And then the question after that is if he doesn't like makeup and weave at all, and you're dating him and he doesn't want you to wear it, is that being controlling? So we could look at those two.
Yeah. So the first,
What was the last? What was the last? Or it's not related, Monica?
I mean, you can answer like the first one was read over the first one.
What
Sorry.
the first one is what is dressing properly? Because I believe
Properly.
it's defined different for different
Define
men.
it. Because that may be subjective. Everybody may have a opinion. So what is a turn off for you men as dressing improper? What is
Yeah,
dressing
promiscuous and stuff.
promiscuous? What does all that mean?
I would think for me, but I would just in my point of view first, I guess first that in according to the Bible, when God dressed Adam and Eve, dressed them with an apron or something from that covers their body. You know what I mean? Now that's it's not something revealing their breasts and not revealing their back, the lower back, and not it's something to cover their whole, they cover their body basically, right? Now in practical life, I think men and women, sorry, women and all bodies are different. So what could work for A can work for B. You know what I mean? That just I think women need to learn that about themselves. That's not every pants could work for you and vice versa. Not every top might work for somebody else. Some people are a little more heavy on the top and you know what I mean? It could be a little bad. You know what I mean? So I think that's just a understanding that I think both people, women need to come to a understanding of because some women I don't think understand that so because they think they have uh bigger, rare. One of the things that she do is sometimes even have like a jersey, sometimes assisting. They need a referee, assisting, covering themselves, you know what I mean? Assisting because I'll be honest with you, all right? A woman, a physical part of it is something of value, right? And I was actually asking you women this in camp, right? But not the women, remember, I think a bunch of us was talking on it, and I was asking them, when you look in the mirror, what do you see before you leave home? Like, what to you is looking good? Is it that when you tiptoe on and you're looking to make sure how you get a side view and you're looking to see if it's showing a little bit and there's something in your heart you really had to really check and see, right? That if that is what you really doing. I think generally all men want a woman to be out in public representing him in a good way. Where not walking around and I sit a man watching how they're looking and different things like that, right? Some men could have little issues. Like you see now all men the same. I agree with that. Some men could have maybe it's whatever to them, and then also some men could have some issues. Some men like to see the woman dressed in a certain way, and they actually just don't value them. To them it's just how they act. So I'll give you an example, right? I see Unika, right? Some YouTube couples and some of these men just had a woman winding up and doing all kind of thing and they're laughing and I'd be like, nah, this man don't really love this woman because she can't be and what I mean is I was like she she getting on like that and he laughed. I think and I realized maybe they love each other, but there's a part of it where he just don't see her something and her devaluing herself. You catch where I'm coming from, right? To him, it looked nice and everybody, the woman. So some men like that, but woman looking like something, you know what I mean? Some men looking, they like that. Some men like that. And I think some men have an issue in that kind of area. So I think that's just basically my guideline for me personally. And when it comes to my, so I give you something practical for me, I generally would tell my wife, like if I say, you have on our top, right? And I say, why when I bend over, I have to see Mount Everest? You know what I mean? And you're going out, right? I say, would you be live a practical life and go out and understand this, right? Because I'll just be honest with you, all right? There are men who are sickos in their head and they look for opportune times to take a peek. You catch where I'm coming from? They take a look, the angle itself, they're watching, and they're doing things. And I started thinking to myself, right? Have a little more value to yourself that you don't have to be walking around your whole life doing this. You're bending over, you have to do this. And you have to bend over like that, right? I just there are practical things to myself. When on top that you don't have to be doing that right through in your life. And understand, and not obviously you don't get things right all the time, right? But try and dress in a way where you understand your frame. You catch where I'm coming from, right? You understand how you make up, and because you're living an everyday life. You don't have on a skate when you have long legs and you're sitting down with a short skate. And you go somewhere and men just sitting down. Because I'll be honest with you, right? Women know that to themselves. I'll just be honest. So most women know that in school, because they grow up, if you go out, especially if you go out mixed school, men in the playground and whatever, and I'm waiting for you to sit down a certain way. They're waiting for certain things. You're walking up, they're waiting for certain things. And as a woman, you have to dress to value yourself. So I wouldn't even necessarily say first to our husband. I would say first to you as a woman, you should see yourself as more valuable. And I might talk my picture always. I used to tell my wife when we were courting, I say, think about this. You would like to know that somebody here see you inappropriately at least once in that kind of way. I say, if it is into your control, I think you should really consider it, because I think it's something in a way you should really see it. That's why you should try at least value yourself to that point, right? So that's my 2 cents. I don't know if Mark want to add something to that.
I was just gonna say that Kyle shared a lot of great points on it. What I would say as well, women, not all men, some men are sick, and I was there until the great physician Jesus would have healed me. And men look for opportunity. And
Yes.
as a woman, if you give certain opportunities, the men will gladly take it.
Yeah.
And it's not right for a man, and the way that I know men sometimes don't understand the way a man thinks. They are very visual, and a man will literally watch you and address you, especially if you provoke it. And I would say if you're dressing immodestly, it provokes down a man, and unknowing to you, it could cause his spiritual lust to really affect men. So I would say, as Carl says, you really have to let the Holy Spirit lead you. Because there's a certain man here, his wedding, it had a woman who was working, and she was dressed inappropriate, and as she snapped a picture, unfortunately, I saw everything. I immediately went to my wife. I confessed what happened. Bible. I didn't and these are the things that happen when you play that game. You know, it's an unfortunate thing, and I would say, women, really, you know, if you have somebody you could trust, especially when it comes to a husband, because I would say me and Eva, me and my wife have a good relationship with that aspect. She would ask me before she leave if I find this okay, and that's I respect that and I honor for that, because quickly I was speaking, the conversation came up in work, and I have a lady that is an atheist, and she was talking about dressing, and I told her, well, my wife does usually ask me if what she wearing is okay, and she tell me I'm a controlling freak, and slavery days, these kind of things. But
you ever ask your wife to do that, Mark, or she just take it upon herself to do that? You ever ask her? You ever told her you have to ask me my opinion first?
No.
Yeah.
I would say that's part of submission. The reason she would do that is because she believes that I love her and I have her best interest at heart. And I would say that is a major thing to establish in a relationship.
Yeah.
Building trust and presenting yourself and making yourself into a man that your wife knows that this person have my back.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Very valuable info. Ladies, we're getting very valuable information here. At least you're getting an insight into how a man of God mind works. Because I know all men are not like that. I know there are men who their wife is like a trophy wife. They actually want their wife to look seductive when they go out. And they like that when they go out with their wife, men staring at her. That's like a feather in their cap. But that is not a godly man. There's no way you could tell me you're a godly man and you are okay with men looking at your wife and feeling like, well, yeah, you can't touch she's mine. Like, what's really that, right? But these men, they love their wife. They have respect for God and they value their wife. And this is how a man of God should think. And I would hope that every woman on this call, that you would want a man who not only values God's opinion, but values you as well as women. Marlon, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, real quickly. I believe the Lord revealed it to me one day when I was ministering to a lady about, God and stuff, and clothing came up, and a lot of people will say things like, you know how to watch, is my body, you know how to watch kind of vibe.
Right. Right.
And Lord put it in my spirit, and the word was, and I love it so much. You are not okay with your boyfriend or husband watching other women. You're not. So why have on something to make other people's husband watch you? Understand? And I feel like it's something that they have to go inside and ask themselves and thing and stuff. But the lady, she shut her mouth. She didn't have anything to say. Like, after, maybe she was fed up because we were talking for some time, but she had nothing. And she don't want her husband or boyfriend watching no other woman in no bathing suit. But she wants a bathing suit for other men to watch her.
Right.
It's just wrong. And I think that thing that women can do in the heart and say, yeah, I don't want to watch me how I don't want my husband watching women.
Right.
Kind of vibe.
Sally, go ahead. I saw some other comments. Continue reading. If anyone wants to unmute their mic as well and ask a question. Okay, we come to you, Tashana, just now, right? So let's go ahead.
Okay, just to tell you so many things they are saying on YouTube. Somebody said the B is the trouble, bro. I don't know what that means.
B is what?
The letter B.
I know what they mean. I know what they mean.
I don't know what that means.
But I say we're on A or B. B, anyhow, they say B is the trouble. Or B, anyhow, good.
Somebody said woman going to fry him. I don't know which one of y'all they was talking about. Somebody said women have to know their size and shape. A Coke bottle cannot wear the same clothes as a pencil. Somebody said if you dress inappropriate, you would get the wrong type of guy. Do women put their faith in their body to get a guy? Wisdom from the Lord, Marlon. Okay. You want to go to Tashana?
Yes, Tashana, go ahead. Unmute your mic and ask your question.
Good night. What I wanted to ask, right, because you all mentioned like bathing suits and things like that. So I wanted to know if it applies in terms of the dress and the modesty, even if it's within context. So like you could give context, like, okay, if you are at the beach, right, would you still consider a bikini on the beach immodest? Or is it where does it become immodest there? If it's going on Instagram, right? Or like if you're going out like for a night out a birthday party, where does the immodesty start? That's my question.
Nice. I'm glad somebody is answering this. Go ahead, fellas.
In your heart.
I talk a lot.
Somebody in your heart. I would say to Tashana, as a man that was very primal, a man who do not knows God want you to wear a bathing suit. It could be in the road, it could be by the embassy, it could be in the beach, it could be by the river. Wear it. Because they want to, as a man, when you see a woman in a bathing suit, that come like you, and I'm sorry for I had to be real, it come like you seen a woman in a panty and a brassiere. And for some men who are lost, that's their dream. So what I would say is, I personally wouldn't want my wife to wear a bathing suit now that I know the Lord, because it reveals the B, it reveals the A, it reveals, that if you're showing your navel, everything, it's showing your legs. And these are things that I would say is more for a husband to see. So my wife, she have bathing suit, but we wear it at home when she bathe in the bathtub or something like that. But if she's in the beach or something, she would wear like the pants or the rash guard or those things. That is what I would humbly suggest. As a man, I could almost guarantee if you're wearing a bathing suit, especially if your body is shapely, and even if it's not, there's a man somewhere watching you with lust.
I agree. I agree.
And I
agree.
would just say, I guess to Shana, like I told said before, to value yourself first, foremost. The reason being is, I just let y'all know, right? Who was the owner of Playboy? A man. Many of these things that it have in the world for women really come from men, you know. High heels, all kind of different things that affect women to the shape, many of those things really come out from men, and it's not to love it, you know, it's to make it into objects. That's what it really is. So let me give you a practical example. You make it an ad, you put a half-naked woman in it, and you know half of the world, everybody gonna watch it. The reason being is men, a lot of the society and the evils of this world has turned women into objects. And I think as a woman, you need to not see yourself as a sexual object. And you need to really make that. So I'll give you an example, right, Tashana? What's the difference of a woman posting up a half naked thing on Instagram, or like say going on a bathing suit, or starting our OnlyFans? What I mean is like an OnlyFans is just showing maybe you have an panty and a bra. That's what you're showing, right? What is the difference in a picture? When a man take a picture and he snap you on the beach, or vice if he snap you lying down home or something like that in a bad way, you realize both of them put in a light really and truly of a unrevealing thing, and really and truly is something designed to really devalue you as a person. Where it is you think that all of your value comes from how you look, and that is actually the main point the Bible says when it tells us about dress modestly, because God wanted to value things inwardly about who you are and your character, and not about, hey, look at how I look at looking for I look, because you don't realize it's actually destroying you as a person. Because those things, like be real, right? As you grow older, like this happen, and you realize you can't hold on to that for the rest of your life. So I encourage all women to really take a step back in their life, whether you be a believer or not, and really evaluate how you see yourself. Is it that when you see yourself in the mirror, that's how you look in this certain way, change that in your life, and you realize you start to change certain things. And the best way you can get a reflection is really from the love of God. That's really somebody who would help in your life, and the Holy Spirit will convict you in different things. Because I realized today, Onika, men have some of these same problems now. There's we on tight pants and there's be showing certain things, and it's like us. Or a man who went on them tight jersey, and they know what they're doing. They know that the woman coming and squeezing their arm and their shoulder, and they're doing it the same way sometimes for attention, the exact same way for certain looks. And some of these things is no different for men and women in certain aspects. But for women, there's just been marketed in a big way for them to really destroy themselves. So that's just my input.
Yeah. Marlon, you want to say something?
I can be quick. For my sister who said she want to know where does the modesty start. And the reason why I said in your heart is because I believe that inside of a woman's heart, remember, I don't know nobody's heart, right? So this is just my opinion, and women, you can correct me. But inside of a woman's heart, you are fully aware of what parts of your body are attractive to a man.
Yeah.
That is not hidden.
Yeah.
You understand? So when you put on a bathing suit, are you expected men to walk past and act like this is normal?
Yeah.
And you have one, you even, okay. What is the purpose of a two-piece on the beach? You are not swimming anywhere. Dix, it doesn't be swimming. Dix, it doesn't be swimming. They just be walking about.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Right.
And in a strange Marlon, a man can wear on our pants normal in the beach and bathe like normal.
A pants up to his knee.
A man can on a night for, because a man who went on a speedo out of time in the same way.
Yeah.
You understand? But a man can wear on a nice pants normal and he cool. And I think that's my point I'm trying to say. Women get that they actually lose that sense of value in themselves. That is what they think are honest and are looking good. And really and truly is not the truth. You know what I mean?
So no, my sister, she's saying she just be swimming, right? And when I said you're not swimming, I meant that with your bathing suit, there's a thing, because in swimming competitions, you want to be able to move as fast as possible, right? So you have one, right? But when you're in the beach, you're not trying to move fast, and you're not in a competition. You need a bathing suit to move faster in the water. You know what I mean? Yeah. So and that's what I meant by
Yeah, I understand. I'm not a man, but I wanna say this, right? I know, and the men could agree, all right? Men are so visual, they're so different to women. This is why I think women, they have I don't know if it's real or if they just pretend to not know sometimes, but when it comes to dressing and they confuse as to how is this inappropriate, right? But I don't think women understand how visual men are and how easy it is also for a man to be stimulated. Am I right, guys? For a man to be,
You're right.
a man does not even have to, yes, Mark?
I was just saying correct.
Right. A man does not, right? And this is for Tishana who asked the question, right? A man does not even have to touch you to be stimulated. He just has to see, right? And so, yes, there are some men who are sick in their head, but the average man is going to be attracted to you if you are in a two-piece and they're seeing your breast and they're seeing your behind and you're shapely, and that is going to, there are certain men, you are affecting men physically and you are not aware of. And I would like to know if you all are okay with that as women, that you okay that you walking on the beach and men, this we said we have only this call, you have to be an adult or get your parents' permission, right? But a man is getting an erection based on how you are looking, how you are dressed. No, but it's a practical thing. Based on how you are dressed, it stimulates him sexually because he doesn't need anything else. Would you want that as a woman? Would you like to know, or would you like to know that your husband, you and your husband in the grocery shopping and a woman swing the corner looking like Kim Kardashian in a one sexy outfit and your husband had to turn it back quick and walk out because of how she's looking? So, you know, I mean, I'm a woman, but I know for a fact, I grew up among guys and I would hear them talk. I know for a fact that men are affected that way by women, depending on how they dress. You know, so it's something as a woman you need to be considerate of, and you need to say, you know what, I don't want anybody seeing me in that light. I don't want anybody. You want a man fantasizing about you? Really? I don't think so. I hope not. I hope not. Because if you do, then you might be fighting a spirit of lust yourself, and which, you know, you probably need some help with. But I don't think any woman wants to know a man looking at them and fantasizing and going through physical changes because of how you are dressed. So it's something that we need to be considerate of the men. That's something we teach a lot. And women say, well, why? There's my body, and you know, it's a selfish way of thinking, you know. And so I mean, I don't know. I hope the guys helped you all with that. To at least understand their perspective a little more, you know, about dressing and how it could affect them, right? But Sally, time is running out and I want us to get to some more questions. Anybody else would like to unmute their mic and ask a question?
This is a question. The next question, and she actually posted it again. And I think it's relatable. She said if he doesn't like makeup and weave at all, and you and him dating and he doesn't want you to wear it, is that being controlling? Like you like, because this came up a lot. Like there are a lot of women who like their lashes and they like their weave, and the men and they like the and the man saying no, don't wear it. Like, what are you supposed to
For the
do?
men answer, I would say if you are a man and you don't like that, leave the girl alone. Especially if she like it. You have a whole sea of women out there. And if this is somebody dating, and now if you're friends with the person and you already have a relationship with them, you could express how you feel. Nothing wrong with that, saying, girl, you beautiful without all this and whatever. But if it's something she really likes and something you don't like, then it just might be a match for you. But you don't go and try to change the woman, like, you know, tell her take off her makeup and she can't wear weave. Then, you know, I think that's wrong. Move on to the next one. The one with the nice natural hair, with the naturally long lashes, and who don't need any makeup. I think that's practical. Well, what they say, fellas?
Marlon, jump in.
Well,
Mark,
I
Mark wouldn't.
a little bit from the reverse. Back in the day, I was very desperate, and the seller had something called a chat room, and I ended up meeting somebody there. And well, for those of people who know me, I was very nerdy and weird back in the day. And this young lady, she wanted to. It had a movie, I think it was Love and Basketball or something, and she said I'm her project. She wanted to change me. She had me wearing 3/4 pants. Make me bore my ears. I was doing different things, and I was trying to become what she wanted, and she get fed up and cuss me up and leave me. And
Good.
I say all that to say that sometimes what you see, it's very hard to change somebody. I was really trying to be something that I was not. And if as a woman, you love your eyelashes, the 1 inch or however it is work, I would say why you want to count the cost and see if you're really willing to give up that for the person. But I would say don't fight up with that, to be honest. I would say if somebody trying to change who you are and you want to live the whole rest of your life without doing this thing you love and that kind of thing, that might necessarily be the best decision. Because
but if it is somebody married to, that's my question. When somebody you're married to and there's something you do like.
You're married? They start when you get married?
Yeah, maybe they start when they get married. They get influenced and they see a thing and I want to start away on this. Things just change. But I just ask not genuine question. Because I realize something, right? So some people say things, don't change for no man, do different things, right? But women tend to always want to critique a man if he's looking a certain way. If a man don't cut his hair, if he don't do certain things, a woman will point that out and say, go and cut your hair, go and do certain. They tend to, and they maybe helping you, they think they're helping the person in a certain way, right? So I just genuinely would like to know how when it comes to maybe a man, what a man find attractive if certain things, how come a man can give his input in that kind of way? I would like to know that honest answer. From women, maybe a woman could put on a mic and say that. If a man does not, if it is maybe you want to go on your hair all of a sudden a certain way, right? And you go on and chop it off, or you want to chop it off, why a man can't give his input on that? I like to hear, I would like to, and no link to control.
Maybe one of the ladies could unmute their mic and answer for Carol.
I just want to hear that.
I would love to answer.
Sure.
Because
Okay.
I feel very passionate about this topic.
Well,
I feel as though, to be quite honest, I think Crystal, I think that it depends, right, guys? So, for example, if you met the girl doing that you're dating, and you want to come and change the girl now, is a no for me. And even if she wants to try something different, I think people change over time. Like, for example, men don't look the same throughout their years. Some put on weight, some get gray hair, some, I don't know, like people change. People change how they want to look. I think men are very sometimes stuck on thinking that women do lashes or makeup and stuff to impress other men, when sometimes they're really just doing it for themselves, So at the end of the day, if I want to cut off my hair, for me, then it shouldn't be bothering you, because as my husband, you should be attracted to my inner qualities as much as you're attracted to my outer qualities. And that's just how I feel. Because how I change, how my appearance changing shouldn't really impact. I see in some comments say, why pull back, Crystal?
Wait. No, can I say something? I understand the hair thing, right? Because I mean that's like a real big deal, right? I mean your hair is a whole big deal. So I get the hair thing. I wouldn't just, but for the lashes and the makeup, I don't get it. I agree with everything else. I agree with everything else you say except the hair thing. Because that's like a huge change. I would want my
I don't realize it's two people talking.
Yeah, I actually know I had to watch and realize it's
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize it was two people. Oh, Chelsea and Tiana. Okay.
So God forbid, right? But God forbid I lose my hair, then what? Like them things shouldn't matter.
If you lose your hair, that's a different story. But if it's by choice, then obviously, you should want his
Listen,
input on
men just
that.
be balding. Men just have hair one day and balding the next day. So really and truly, that should not matter.
Yeah, but that's not by choice. You understand? It's not like they choose, because if they have a choice and they choose a certain hairstyle that you don't like without like wanting your input, I mean, I would understand. I would be upset. So I mean, it's the same thing with if you want to cut off your hair and he's not attracted to that. I understand that. But I mean, Oli, could just give us a little bly with the makeup and the lashes. Thanks. I'd appreciate it.
You know,
Okay, bye.
I think, Cheyenne, I think this is maybe one of the biggest problems men have with makeup and lashes. You see when they lie down in bed at night, they just what I think, right? And a man do so, and you actually turn into Optimus, it's like Optimus Prime, you do so, and you just see a whole transformation. You rest down, this here, rest down, and it's like a whole different person. Men just watch them like, what going on here, right? And it's something that I think if men have a problem, that is most of the times when they have really a problem. It is not
But
that
the lashes
when they
now
see
don't
you.
come off, Kyle. They're on. You're sleeping on it on. It ain't coming off. It's
And
permanent.
I
Pete,
just
I'm not going to say that.
no, yeah, that's how I say that. I think that is more because if a man see a certain way looking attractive, you know, he find you looking attractive, right? But it's the transition sometimes it's really hard for men to say, well, you know, so it's the case. And I think also too it's important to understand where, like, I'll just add this before you take right, Onika, that I understand what all the women saying here, right? But I think it's important too. There's always that other side to the story that women must take into consideration. If you marry this person, he sees something inside of you that even if it's about that he value you too and he loves you. And so sometimes a man could be trying to help in an insecurity in your life. If it's telling nah, I don't way to do this. Because sometimes women sometimes they tend to find a value in some of these things. I hear one person say, nah, I'm not doing it for let's just be a little practical, right? Some women really find value in some of these things and it's just very hard for them to not see it. If they
They
look at
actually
certain
can't see themselves without
Want
it.
to
I heard a
talk.
woman say
Yeah.
recently she can't see
yeah.
herself
talk?
without eyelashes anymore.
Yeah,
Can
so
I
I think when a man really love you, so I addressing really the comment where the person say that you know don't change for no man and different things like that. I think we all change when we fall in love. There are many things about myself. I I change because I'm in love with my wife. I realize there's some things that habits I have, certain things, and I think we all must grow to a place where we change in love. And I think the more important thing is if you find somebody who is changing for if it's you really find out imagine this right woman find a man he go fight for men means he go provide he do every do this he can think that and you could name on the list of all the things now he's a good father he at least he could communicate with me okay you know I could
But
work
you want me
with
to
it
drop the lashes?
yeah you wear stubby lashes
Oh gosh, boy.
you catch where I'm coming from right that is very hard
It's so
for a woman to
stressful.
adjust
I was
on their life. But man, from so I know I tell you, say I don't know the relationship with the person, and obviously I trying to tell you, I don't know if somebody trying to control you or not, right?
Right.
And but also
Yeah.
you gotta, as the same way a man had to figure out his peace with his wife. I encourage women, if it is you believe a man visual and all these things and his attraction, if you're a man trying to tell you I'm attracted when you look this way, you should take that into consideration in a big way. You should really think about that, especially if it's something good. I'm not saying if you look attractive in your way on a two-piece and you walk down the road. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something like he holds in that kind of way. You should really
No,
listen
but
to your husband.
what about you? It making you feel happy and good.
Right.
Like,
Understood.
you
Yes.
know, what
Answer
about
that.
that?
Answer that.
I would say this, right? Find also happiness in making your husband happy.
But when I do my I don't find that fair. Because like when I do my
So
toes
here,
and my
what you think?
lashes, when I do
What
my toes and my lashes, I feel like $1 million.
Wow, you see?
Well, I was just gonna say that you had to kind of be discerning and led of the Holy Spirit, and because sometimes love might require to change, right? Because to be honest, Eva talked to me about how I was dressing and thing like before we were married and thing. Like I was dressing the best, and when we what a day a box show up outside, she come with a box, and there's a box of clothes. And you know, she helped me in certain areas in dressing and certain thing. And my husband, she want me to be, you know, look a certain way and stuff. And so she helped me in that area. It wasn't necessarily a forced thing. So I think it will come down to a relationship between you both, because I would say that God too. All the time he in heaven, he have glory. He creating universe. He doing these. He doing his thing. All of a sudden, he had to come down and be a man in the flesh of a man, and had to be a true. He accustomed to royalty and legions and angels and certain.
Yeah, they come in and use the toilet.
But he gave it for we to come and spit on him, rip off his beard, beat him, and that kind of thing, right? He went through a change. He didn't necessarily want to do it, but he realized we had a need. So he was willing to make some adjustments. And sometimes in marriage, you may want to, sometimes you just have to make little compromises in certain areas. The Bible even talks about that when a man is single, he could focus totally on God. But when you're married, you start to think about the things of this world, and the Bible says how you might please his wife. And there's an element of marriage where you want to please the person. And it's out of love, and it's not something that God would be angry with. That's just part of loving somebody. You want to do the things that would please them. So it will be it will take a bit of discussion and understanding, because there's sometimes where it could work in your benefit and sometimes it could be controlling.
Yeah. Now, don't mistake it, ladies. There could be a man that is controlling you. So you have to know the difference. So it's important to know if your husband genuinely loves you, and you would have a track record. A man who loves you and has been showing you love consistently, not gonna just come one day and start to get controlling and demand you do this to yourself and that, and right. But there are men who, yes, will, because they have this idea in their head of what an ideal woman looks like, they will try to change you to fit that imagination. Like men who look at porn, right? Men who look at porn, they have an idea. Their minds, they're so engraved of what the perfect woman is, and they meet you and you're not necessarily up to that standard. And I know a man who wanted his wife to do breast implants. Now, how far do we go to please, right? Because ladies, the men talking about doing things to please your husband, right? And I know a man who wanted his wife to get her breasts, what do you call it, enlarged, right? To do implant. And I mean, she wasn't totally opposed to it, but at the same time, she was feeling like, well, if I don't do it, is it that you're going to watch women who have bigger breasts? You understand? And she wants to please her husband. So, guys, where does the pleasing stop? Where does the pleasing stop? Because he wants a woman with bigger breasts. So, is she to go and get the bigger breasts? What help us out?
Of course not. I think that was it. There's certain things you value, but to the same, I can say the same point to Nika, that women who you meet and they already do it in their life. There are a lot of women right now in the world, and that's what they're doing. They're enlarging and they're doing different things in their life, and many of them is not necessary.
That was my question. My question was the man who wants his woman because
no,
he
when
wants.
you realize it's to the man. I try not to take it away from the man. I put it back on the woman. This is not about men. This is about the woman. Tonight's show is not about men problems. I'm trying to address the woman.
Somebody asked when to know it's controlling. And you all said, ladies, help me, correct me if I'm wrong. You all said there should be an element of compromise. And if your husband likes certain things, nothing is wrong. Mark said he wasn't the best dresser, and Eva brought a box of clothes for him, and he changed his style. If the man find your breast too small and he wants you to do some, enhancements, is that where we stopping at? I just want to know, to answer the question about controlling. Where you drawing the line?
I would obviously I would say, but go ahead, Mark. There's somebody start taking over the show. You go ahead, Mark.
No, I was
about women, but go ahead.
I was gonna say
I'm trying to address the question the lady asked. Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
I would say it's love, the girl or the man, whoever is on the receiving and asks to change, you would know if this violating your heart and violating love. Because I was gonna bring up a topic here, but boy, I just want to be careful what I talk about. Because people just say how far you could go with certain things when you're married, but I just say you cannot violate love. Right. And you shouldn't want to violate do something to somebody where they do not feel loved. And if this is love to you, but it's not love to them, then maybe you should question doing this thing. That's why I would say you draw the line.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same thing, Onika, where you make the point about a man turning a woman into a fraud. That was not the conversation. The conversation was about lashes and something basic. It wasn't not about a man telling you to go and do an operation, basically, to be attractive.
It's nothing wrong with, if a man have a preference as his wife, nothing wrong with doing something to please him.
No, that's not. I was talking about something simple like lashes, and certain things like you willing to maybe change. I'm not talking about adjusting your body and demonic things that people maybe might do in their mind and their thoughts. There's so much I could talk about here that maybe happen in people's personal life when it comes to their sex life that maybe men want. And I can point out many things that is wrong. But you can talk about it from, right? But that wasn't the conversation. And is a relationship you're having. So there's some things that that's gonna add value to somebody. And there's some things that no, because men generally don't walk around with fake eyelashes and fake things, right? They don't necessarily do this. So there's a reason why women do those things. Because sometimes they maybe find them maybe I feel good. I look. What making you feel good about it? You're finding looking attractive or something in that kind of way. Is that how you view yourself? You understand where I'm from, right? So my point is this, right? That I think sometimes that people they need to just be a little practical and real when it comes to these little things because I think most men here they would tell you I don't like it, but most men now when I say well I'm not talking to you, I'm not this, I'm not happy. Like be real, right? There's something you're telling me, I just go find I don't really like it. It's not like a deal. Most men ain't gonna say that's a deal breaker, boy, that kind of way, right? But some men might do it maybe more with the hair, right? Because some men have like some preferences and that kind of way, right? But obviously you know them things from before you even get into a relationship, them things will happen. But I think it's important for you to understand the difference in life. Because I could use the term controlling for everything. That man trying to control me for everything. Right? Because then they will have no reason, they will have no sense of reason in your relationship. And I hope you can have some reason and you have to learn to love each other in some kind of way. You understand? But yeah.
Shine, let me help you out. I know you say pressed and this depressed here. Kyle's wife has lashes, wears lashes. Mark's wife wears lashes. And Marlon's wife wears lashes. None of them particularly like it. So don't worry. Right? Don't worry. You could get a good man and you could wear your lashes too. Right? So, yeah. Just saying.
Okay, I'm feeling better.
Huh?
Feeling better.
Anybody would like to unmute their mic and answer a question? It's getting late, but I don't want to pass by anybody. We spent a lot of time on this. I don't know if anybody else would like to, or tell us if there are any comments that we may have missed. I saw Marlon having a conversation. I wasn't able to read all of it. Crystal, you wanted to say something? I don't like
I forget my point now, what I was trying to make. But there's a couple of things. I think for women, I mean, with the lashes and all these things, I think it's important that while it might be nice to have, and myself included, I recently joined the lash community. Yeah. Once you see, when it comes up with where you're dependent on it, where you think, well, okay, I have to have it, I think that's an issue, right?
Right.
If all my lashes come off, I mean, I'll just go back to normal. I wouldn't feel like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? So I think that's important. Another thing that Cohen said years ago, and I think it was very liberating. He says that you only need one man to love you, right? And it means that if you only need one man to love you, then you should value what that man says. And the same way where I would want my husband to look a certain way, like how Ava say, she didn't, she wanted to upgrade Mark a little bit. It's the same way your husband will have suggestions, say, well, honey, I like how I prefer you in this color, prefer you with your hair this way. And it's not that he's trying to control it, but he loves you. And if it's only one man I out here to please, well, hello, okay, honey, all my hair, so not a problem. I'm gonna do it like that if that's how you like it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think women need to change their mind as to how they take. I'll use the word criticism for lack of a better word, but how they take the advice from their husbands, how they are receiving it. They should not take it like a criticism, but it's a suggestion and is he watching? Is he loving on you? Not every man out there. And
it's actually his opinion. You should value the most.
You should value the most. Exactly. And vice versa. And I mean, in that, we're not saying that the man wants to take away your identity. Some people feel, oh gosh, well, it's not that. But if you didn't want that, then you should have stayed by yourself, because you're giving up singlehood to share your life with someone. That means you are sharing this person's opinion. You are saying this person's opinion should now matter in my life. If you didn't want that, then stay by yourself. Yeah.
Marlon say, can you thank Crystal? Marlon say, can you take a no and humble yourself? That was hard for me.
Lashes.
I mean, not know about any. I think he referring to like anything.
Yeah, just like anything you're talking about in general.
That was happening
Yeah.
to when Kerwin would tell me in the earlys in my marriage. I
Yeah.
told the story before. When I dressed to go out fully, I kit down, and as we about to walk out the door, he's like, you wearing that too short or that too tight, and he would literally say, I am not going with you if you wear that. And that used to cause arguments. That used to cause big arguments in my early marriage. Because I put on because I find it looking good and I don't see anything wrong with it. But I never once left the house with something that he said was inappropriate in his opinion. Never. I would object, I would quarrel, I'd be like, I would even go and show him in the mirror, look, it's not that short, and I'll bend down, look, all kind of crap for just to prove to him that it's not that bad. But I would always take it off. But it took a while. The humility wasn't there initially to answer Marlon's question. I would do it, but it wasn't in a humble way. It wasn't in a humble way at all. As being real, But I'll never defy him and go out with it though. Never. So, ladies, you have to decide if you want to get married or not.
Married?
Huh?
Exactly. That's what
You have
it
to
boiled down
decide if you
to.
want to get married or not. It's your choice. You don't have to
True,
submit
true.
yourself to no man. None.
Correct.
Women, why can't women be humble? Who said women not humble? Who said they're not humble? Your question is yes, Lisa.
Quite quick question. I had gone out for a little while. Crystal was asking about defining disrespect. Did they go into that? Because I was curious about that.
Yes, they did. They did. And I guess you could watch it over, Lisa, because to go over
Oh,
that
yes,
now, yeah, you can look it over. But yes, Kyle touched on it all of them touched on
Okay.
Yeah.
what examples. Yeah. So you could look it over.
Okay, but loving the Flash business discussion. Ciao.
Anybody else would like to ask a question before we come to an end? Celeste, are there any comments or questions in the chat that are worth addressing before we close?
Okay, the amount of comments it had, everything just kind of got lost, but I think I got through most of the important ones. If there's anybody who left a really important comment, you could type it again. I see Tashana has her hand up again.
So if you left a comment, it might be hard for us to get it, and it might be just easier for you to unmute your mic and ask it or say
Yeah.
do that, right? So Tashana, go ahead.
Okay, hello. All right, so I just wanted to know, since you're all married men, right? What would you say is something that you would have seen in your wife that you said, yes, I know this is the one that made you say, I don't want any other woman over this woman?
Oh, lovely question. You got some popcorn for this. Go ahead, Kyle, go first.
Now let Marlon go first, Mr. Lava, man. Let him go. Shaba. Go ahead, Shaba. He the comment section, heating up the place.
Yeah, he ran any comments. Go ahead, Marlon. You better answer right, your wife's phone. Where's
I don't
that
have-
thing that?
It have no right and wrong answer for this, Nicks.
All right, go ahead.
There are plenty wrong answers, brother, but go ahead.
You know what I consider an insult as a woman, I'm being honest with you. If a man say, well, I marry her, really, I had other girls I like her, but God tell me that is the one. That to me sound like God force your hand. That God force your hand. I had a woman I was attracted to, but God said this one. Choose this one. That'll be a wrong answer. Go ahead.
Right. So there's a few things, right? It's multifaceted, right? So I'll see if I could put it into three very small categories that have smaller things in it. So a real big one is that she took, and I spoke about this in my message I preached the other day, she took the things that God gave me and that I didn't believe in or that I didn't hold in high esteem and show it to me in a different way. So basically, she was able to really contribute to my purpose in life. I feel like she really contributed to me as a human being and saw and really wanted to make me be a better man. Right? So that is a real big one. There's so much things underneath that. And next thing is that she was willing to find out what things I don't like and adjust, not change, right? Because I never say, hey, girl, stop doing that and the other thing, because I never threaten nobody. And like I might have mentioned, hey, you know, I don't like a girl who prideful, who always feel the no one, who you can't talk to them and thing. Or I don't like a girl who like to fight and to talk loud and she would make adjustments, right?
Okay.
Without me, you had to change that about yourself. You know what I mean? I find that was the next big one. And third one that real, I just really like being around. How about you? Like I know it real Canada thing, well, like I always say that with the fellas. I just really being like spend my entire day, dog. I could just be with this lady boy next whole day.
So sweet. Thank you, Marlon. Oh, Lifa, big up your whole self, Lifa, Gito. Mark, let me hear you.
Hey, good night. Well, my situation was a bit of a journey, to be honest. But from the first time I saw Ava, I knew that she was not a normal girl. As the first thought ever come to my mind, she not normal. You know, she was different. When I eventually got to know her, she had certain things that I was scared about. To me, she had a tendency to be strong-minded. I would say bordering rebellious.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
It's playing the food. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Yeah. I wouldn't say rebellious, but she'd have a way if she believe in something, she's sticking to that. You can't force her to really do. And I was kind of a bit scared about that, to be honest, in the beginning. But what attracted me to her is when we really got to know each other, I saw her value. She was the first person that I felt like I could have really been myself, like truly be able to be myself with. And also we were both of us had issues in God at the point in time. And we tried to discuss it and be a blessing to each other. And what I tell myself going into that friendship, I honestly I was not sure if she was my wife. But I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the fruits. Because from reading the Bible, Jesus said, know a tree by its fruits. And I noticed that we were a blessing to each other. We both grew in different areas, and she's basically my opposite in a lot of areas. She challenged me in a lot of areas in my life. A lot of places where I'm weak, I would say she's strong, and a lot of places where she is weak, I'm strong. And I'm sure if she probably get an opportunity to talk, she would say that, wow, boy, have a lot of things. Sometimes does be happening with us. I say, Eva, let me, guide you and that kind of thing, right? So we challenge each other. And what really attracted me to her really was knowing that she loved God, and I knew that she loved me. And I saw that we were able to really work together. And it just, like Adam, when you say bone of your bone, flesh of your flesh, you just know you have something special, and sometimes it could be misled in a relationship. Nicole say when you love somebody who could talk to you, but I try to use the word of God to be like my referee. We sinning, we in fornication, we are feeling, and I try to say, okay, I try to make sure the relationship had righteousness in it to really not cloud my vision, and that the relationship confirmed itself with God along with different things. But to be honest, I believe there's no soulmate for anybody. I believe you could love anybody and be in a relationship with anybody, but God would have an opinion, and I would say a godly relationship has certain fruits. And really, if your heart is really surrendered to God, He would guide you and confirm, okay, this relationship would be a blessing or not. So I would say what really confirmed it to me was the word of God and really seeing the fruits of the relationship.
Yeah, I like that, Mark. Mark, basically, when you said the relationship itself was confirmation because it was righteous. It brought out, the better in both of you all. It was a godly relationship. Like, it was a good thing. And every good and perfect gift comes from God, and the fruits of the relationship spoke for itself. So yeah, big up you all. Mr. Joseph.
Yeah. I think some of these same things, like they say, like I think I'll be honest, right? Outside of the attraction and all those things, right? Because as a man, them key things, right? Nobody gonna marry somebody not attracted to and all those
Right.
different things, right? But deep down, I had certain qualities. Because I'll be honest with you, all right? For 10 years of my life, I was not interested in no woman, and I was not, half of the church used to call my Enoch because my mind wasn't focused on that way, right? But God had a different plan, I guess, for me, and a better plan for me. And when I got into a relationship with my wife, as I say my fiance, yes, but my fiance at that point in time, right? I realized she had certain qualities in herself that really that used to help me in different aspects of my life in the context of, my attitudes, some belief system, some ways that I realized I found really godly qualities inside of her. Like like I told you all things like with dress and I never really had like a lot of things like I told you I never really had them kind of issues with my wife, like communicating in that kind of way, right? Like arguing about their dressing and different things like that. One of the things that I really like about her too, she's not that kind of person to quarrel and get on, and that was something, I'll be honest with you all, was a big attraction to me to start to set off the first thing first. I'll give you an example, right? I never noticed in our relationship to be walking out and slamming door and never talking to you for the next day and that kind of toxic. I never experienced that in a relationship. And I'll be honest with you, right? I had those things in the past relationship. I had those things where you experience certain things, and now coming from this godly perspective, I reached a point where I realized that this woman she's really a caring person. She really has values. She's really somebody who would be a good mother. She's really somebody in these kind of aspects, right? Then also now apply to how in my personal life. I can be honest with you, all right? There's certain strengths in my life, just like what Mark said, that I would help her with, and then vice versa. There are a lot of things in her life that she helps me with in my personal life. Sometimes it is be a battle, like it's be a thing where it is you're wondering why the person talking, why they saying this, and really and truly is the qualities that she have in herself. I believe is something that started to better me in my life personally, and I started to see that as something that, hey, this is really adding something to my life in that kind of way, adding some kind of value, and it wasn't in my relationship. I never had sex with my wife before. I never did those kind of things, and it was just really based upon our relationship with each other and our values, and also to where we were heading. My wife is somebody who keen on like a purpose, and she's not somebody who really clingy, and that's something, I'll be honest, was really attractive to me personally, because I know for my personal life, I know in ministry and different things, and I wanted somebody who the whole life is not just about doing this, how today, not them. The whole life can't be about fully all of them things, and it was something really for me was really attractive to me that she's somebody who's content in her life, and she lived her life, and she had certain goals, but at the same time, the most important goal for her was really fulfilling God's plan for her life, and I really found that as a real quality, because as a man, some of the key things you'd want in your life is how am I going to put my trust into this woman and different things like that? And she could cheat on you one day. Things could happen in life. And there's some core things for me personally. I looked at her and I realized she has certain qualities that I really admire. And yeah, so that's just my thoughts, Monica.
Thank you. All right. It is, I think, 10:15, guys. That means that they really valued what you all had to say, because it's 10:15 and we're still here, and we still have quite a few people, 51 people with us. Still, yes, we would have the part 2. We kind of exhaust this topic though tomorrow. Yeah. We'll have the men back. The men actually have a men's call on a Monday as well, but we'll have the men back sometime soon, right? When we get the right topic. Maybe I want to do a topic on submission, because a lot of women don't know what submission looks like. They have an idea in their head of what submission should look like. It may not be the same as what a man thinks. And so I don't mind bringing the men back for that for parts. We could probably do it in a part 1 and part 2 and bring them back for that. Perhaps see if my husband would agree to come on that as well. Then that would mean he'd take up the whole session, but what you could do. Right? But ladies, thank you very much for staying with us. I want to thank Kyle, Marlon, and Marks for your input, for taking the time. All three of you all sick, I know that, and so I appreciate you all fighting through the little sickness, the virus,
Right.
and coming. Well, really, really appreciate it. Your input was really, really valuable, and I hope, ladies, that you all paid attention and took note of what they said. These are godly men who have no intentions of playing the fool, and they're serious about life, about their wife, about marriage, right? And so, guys, thank you again, ladies. Thank you for staying with us. I will see you all next week. We will post what we're going to be talking about next Monday. So yeah, you all have a wonderful night, guys. Marlon, let me see your face before you go there now. Oh, you're going
Marlon
already.
watching. No, Marlon.
Marlon done change his clothes already and drinking tea. Oh, all right. Okay, Marlon.
Marlon watching toes.
Okay. So, thanks, guys. Right, and thanks.